Hey everyone, thought I'd do a quick video today on this little guy right here, which is a Firestar M43. Now last week I made an Astra video on an Astra police revolver that I had picked up, and I showed it around to a bunch of people, and they got a lot of feedback that, hey, I never heard of an Astra, that's pretty neat, and I figured I have a love for these kind of Spanish firearms, especially because I think they're a good value for the way they're built. And I know a lot of people haven't really heard of these or seen a lot of these, especially younger people, since they haven't brought any of these in over 20 years. All these companies kind of went out of business a long time ago. So thought I'd do a review on this one. Spanish guns in general, you had the Ibar region of Spain, which has made firearms for hundreds of years, firearms and guns and swords and knives. And coming into the United States, you had your pretty much big three gun companies. You had Star, and then you had Llama, or Yama, that's how it's pronounced, but most people say Llama, and you had Astra. Now, Star and Llama both started out making basic 1911 clones. Astra kind of always did its own thing. And then as they progressed, Star moved on to guns kind of more similar to this, which is more of an amalgamation between a 1911 and a CZ75, whereas Llama moved on and made guns at the end towards like this, which is more of a direct 1911 clone. And see, it looks almost exactly like one, and it'll even take 1911 magazines. Now the Stars, when they got later on, kind of switched their designs up a little bit and came up with some really neat carry guns and some duty-sized weapons that were really nice. And I don't get a lot of the hate that people have for some of these. I've read some crap online about Stars, then Astras and Llamas, that people calling them junk. And really, Llama had its kind of quality control issues towards the end of its being a company, basically. But Star and Astra never really experienced a whole lot of that, and their quality stayed pretty much the same throughout their entire run. I don't really get it. I mean, it's kind of like saying Remington's having quality control issues now, so, don't buy a Ruger or a Smith & Wesson. It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. These guns were very solid made guns. And this little guy here is basically a little bit smaller than a 1911 like officer's model. In fact, if you're comparing it to modern guns that are out there, the Sig 938 is about a half an inch shorter, both height and lengthwise, and a straight up officer's model like a Colt or a Springfield or Rock Island or any of those is going to be about a half an inch longer and a half an inch taller. So right in the middle of those two. Height wise, it's a little over 4.5 inches tall, and it's a little over 6.5 inches long, might be a little under, and it weighs in at about 30 ounces. It's a hefty little sucker. It's an all steel gun, and it's very solidly built. It fires from a 7-round mag. Most of the time you'll find them, they come with one of these, maybe two of these 7-round mags. You can find other factory mags online, like this one right here, which has a pinky extension. This is an 8-round extended mag. These are pretty expensive. You're going to find most of the magazines for this are going to be expensive. And you also had some companies like Triple K and Pro Mag, which these are Pro Mags. I haven't had any problems with these, but they're definitely not built nearly as well as the factory mags. So I have a few of these I use as range mags for it, and they work fine for that, and they can be had for like $20. Now, this gun right here basically is kind of a mashup of a CZ and a 1911. It's a heavy little sucker, like I said, Got 3-dot sights, which I've repainted. Most of the time you'll find them, they've been faded out over the years. It's got an ambi safety right here. Very positive on the safety. The magazine release is reversible, so if you're a lefty, these can work. Basically, the only thing not ambidextrous friendly is going to be the slide release. Some things some people don't like about this is it has the, I'm going to show you, magazine disconnect safety, which means you have to put a magazine in this in order for it to release the hammer. It won't fire without a magazine in. And because of that, if I hit the mag release, it only kicks them out a little bit, and you got to pull them out the rest of the way. Myself, that doesn't really bother me. The way I use this gun, it doesn't affect function for me at all. If you really hate that, you can remove that. It's pretty easy to remove. You just punch the safety out, take the grips off, and punch that safety out of there, and it will function fine without it. And I've shot one without it, and if you hit the release, it'll shoot the mags out of the bottom of the gun. So if real quick mag changes are a thing, you can have that removed pretty quickly. Tear down on these is going to be more like a CZ75 than anything else. You can see it has 2 witness marks here, kind of on the back, and you line those up, cock the hammer, it'll be easier, and push there, and the slide stop comes out. Then you slide it apart, and you can see the frame rails here, just like a CZ. The slide rides inside the frame rails on these. Now, you want to remove the guide rod and the recoil spring here. It's a solid guide rod. And then you have your barrel. Right here, you can see it's got 3 locking lugs on top. And it's got a toggle lock on the bottom to toggle the barrel for the action, instead of the swinging link like a 1911 design. Basically very similar to a CZ75. And it all goes back together pretty much the same way. Barrel in, the spring back in, make sure everything's lined up, and sometimes you need kind of 3 hands to put these together. Get the marks lined up, and it goes right back in like that. I would say it's definitely more CZ-ish than 1911-ish. The trigger is similar to a 1911, but it's on a toggle instead of straight back. And it's got a pretty good trigger pull. I try not to dry fire this often, but I'll do it real quick to show you. You got just a little bit of take up here, and then you hit the wall, then pull through. It's about 7.5 pound trigger pull. And if I reset it, right there, that's kind of a long reset for a 1911 style gun, but in a carry gun it works just fine. And really, if you're used to a double action trigger pull or something, it's going to feel pretty good to you. Oh, is there anything I missed on this? I don't think so. I said this I carry more than anything else. Now, issues with this, some people have problems with holsters. I've found a lot of 1911 compact holsters work for it. Ones I've used to carry it are like this right here, which is a Don Hume design. It's a model 715 inside the waistband, and it works perfectly fine for what it is. If you need to deep conceal this gun, it works really well. The majority of the time, I know people are going to hate this, but I carry this just under a t-shirt or a sweatshirt in a Phobos made for a 1911 compact, and it locks in pretty well. It's not coming out of there. And this is a good holster design, especially if you have to take your gun on and off, which I do sometimes to go places, and it works really well for that. Another option, if I know I'm going to be open carrying this for the day, is this right here. which is one of the IMI holsters, kind of a Serpa clone. I think you can get them. Caldwell makes them, SigTac makes them. They're all made by IMI, same company. And this one's designed for a 1911 officer's model as well, and it locks right in there and draws just like out of a Serpa. You press the button and remove it. But it gives you kind of that more positive retention if you're going to open carry this firearm, or if you just like a holster that has more positive retention to it. I'm trying to find an alien gear shell that'll work with this, and I haven't found a really good one yet. The best I found is the SIG 290 shell, and I'm going to order one of those and test it out and see how it works, because I'm really kind of liking alien gear holsters lately. I've moved on to them for a lot of my guns, both their inside the waistband and outside the waistband designs. Well, I'm going to order a shell, probably a SIG 290 and maybe a 1911 shell, and see how those work out with this and test them out. But really, if you shop around, most 1911 designs, especially leather ones for the officer's model, are going to fit this. Price-wise, these can be picked up pretty cheaply at gun shows. I think I got this one for around $250. Anywhere from $250 to $275 for one in this kind of condition. If you go with the nickel finished ones they had out, they can go $3.25, somewhere around there. So it really is a pretty good budget option if you're looking for a carry gun, single action carry gun. One of the other kind of detractors of this is going to be parts. These came in, this is an Interarms import. All these were going to be imported by Interarms. This one came in about 93 or so. They started bringing these in late 90, 91. It actually won Guns and Ammo Gun of the Year in 91. And they kind of quit bringing them in around 95 or so. And they got replaced by a double stack version, the M43. So there wasn't a whole lot of these out here, and parts, since Star isn't really a company anymore, or can be tough to get. So if something breaks on it, you're going to be hunting around for a part for it. But I haven't had that issue. I've put lots of rounds downrange for this and never had a problem. It's built really heavy. I can't see a whole lot breaking on it. The only real weak point it has is they tend to break firing pins if you dry fire them a lot. So get some snap caps if you want to practice with it and use it as your concealed carry weapon. So that's my M43, and like I said, this is probably gets carried by me 75% of the time just because it's convenient. I'm going to do some other Spanish pistol videos, I think, and show some of them off. Most of the big gun channels seem to be showing a lot of the Star BMs that are being brought in by Century lately. I know Military Arms Channel and Mr. Guns and Gear both have had Star BM videos out lately, so I might get around and do a couple more Spanish videos because they really do make a good budget option. Especially the BMs that are bringing in right now are in the $225 to $250 range. I mean, if you're between that and, you know, a High Point or one of those SCCY pistols or something, I think it's really a viable option. I hope everybody enjoyed this, and let me know what you think down in the comments, and I'll talk to everybody later. Thanks.